Good morning, my cookie crumbs, and welcome back. Here is the next episode. I hope you enjoy. Let's get it started. Tandro woke up sometime later. His muscles were still aching pretty badly. Even muscles he didn't know he had were aching pretty badly. He heard something above him. Some grumbling? No. Grunting? That can't be it. What was that sound? It sounded like someone talking, but it was muffled. Like they were gagged or something. Tandro opened his eyes and saw that Izuku was the one taking care of him now. But there was something white on his face. No, that wasn't white. It was black. He closed his eyes and shook his head to shake the cobwebs. When he reopened them, Izuku had a thick black cloth wrapped around his face. He was trying to speak, but it was muffled. That's where that sound was coming from. Izuku, are you okay? Izuku tried to speak to him, but it was of no use. Izuku just nodded his head that yes, he was physically fine, but he couldn't get this gag off. What are you trying to tell me? Is it something about this? Here, let me try to help you get it off. Huh? There's no knot or anything. And it's like it's glued to your face. Izuku just looked at Tandro with big wide eyes. He didn't know that there wasn't a knot behind him. He was a little too preoccupied worrying about him. You were taking care of me and you didn't notice, did you? Izuku just shook his head. I see. Izuku then pushed a water bottle into Tandro's hands and made a sign to drink. Tandro nodded and drank what he could. Soon he realized how thirsty he was and ended up drinking the entire bottle. He was quite thirsty. Even after that whole bottle, he was still really thirsty. Izuku took the other water bottle and gave it to him. No, what if we need this? We should save it. Izuku vehemently shook his head and pushed Tandro to drink it, knowing that he was still thirsty and likely needed the water. Tandro then made a sign that said he was probably dehydrated, and he needed that water so he wouldn't get sick. You're right, but what if he doesn't give us any fresh water? And what about you? Aren't you thirsty? Izuku shook his head. He wasn't thirsty at the moment. All he wanted was this thing off of his face. Tandro, after a moment of hesitation, nodded. He cracked open the bottle and drank the entire thing. But this time, more slowly. In between sips, he would talk to Izuku, and Izuku would just shake his head or nod or do some kind of a sign. Tandro wasn't sure what the signs meant, but he understood the gist of them. Soon the water bottle was emptied, and Tandro felt immediately bad. But he knew Izuku wasn't going to let him go without drinking the water. So the two fell into a silence for a little while, until the door opened. Tandro tried to get up, but his muscles were still really sore. Izuku just pushed him back down into a sitting position, and he stood up in front of Tandro. All right, Izuku, it's your turn. He signed, my turn for what? Oh, you know sign language. Clever boy, I should have tied your hands too. No matter. Anyways, it's time for Your test. My test, he sighed. What kind of a test? You see. Oh, before we go, let's take that thing off. You'll need water after this, I'm sure. Which, that reminds me. He snapped his fingers and the gag was gone. But not for very long. Izuku couldn't speak. His voice was pretty raspy. But fresh water and fresh food appeared, and the man promised that Izuku would be able to eat and drink, but if he made him angry again, he would replace the gag. Izuku just shrugged. He wasn't agreeing, but he wasn't disagreeing. He was neutral. I suppose that'll do for now, then, the man sighed, hoping for a little bit of a fight, but who was he to argue if his test subjects were being cooperative? Izuku just followed the man, and here we are. Izuku wasn't sure how long they walked as he fell into his own head for a bit. He walked into the room, and there was a swimming pool? A giant Olympic-sized swimming pool. Soon, Izuku felt something on his legs. Not that bracelet that he was wearing on his ankles, but chains. What did you just attach to me? Oh, this is part of the test. We're going to see if you can keep your head afloat. I know that even without your quirk, you still have strength in those muscles. What do you... Izuku was suddenly pushed in and sank quickly to the bottom with the weights on his ankles. He couldn't breathe. He panicked for a second. He swam upward as hard as he could go. And the man was right. He had enough strength to swim with the weights on, but they were really weighing him down. He poked his head up above the water, and the man said, "Your test is to keep your head above water for as long as you can without drowning. But don't worry, I won't let you die. Yet." Well, your test starts now, apparently. So do try to keep your head afloat. You absolute monster. I told you to quit calling me that. I guess I will have to gag you after this after all. Maybe. I believe this might be punishment enough. Izuku closed his eyes. He needed to figure out how to conserve his strength while he was trying to stay afloat. He wasn't sure how he was going to be able to do it, but he needed to. He figured out some sort of a plan, but for how long he could do it, he wasn't sure. Izuku got lost in his thoughts. He wasn't sure how much time had passed, but he was getting tired, really tired. His legs were burning. He was cold. The water wasn't exactly warm. His arms hurt. It hurt to breathe. His head started to dip down into the water, and each time he did, he would thrust himself up, causing him to slip a little more. He was getting really, really tired. He needed to conserve his energy, but he couldn't. Now with the exhaustion, he needed to stay afloat. And he kept trying and trying and trying until he kept slipping more and more and more under the water. Each time he would pop up, he would cough and sneeze, and it was getting too much. Soon the man clapped. Well, you lasted longer than I thought you would. Now let's get those off of you, Soon the weights came off, and Izuku sighed in relief. They sank to the bottom, and Izuku hopped out of the water. He panted, trying to catch his breath, but he couldn't. Soon, Izuku ran out of breath. All that panting and just being in the water didn't do anything for him. He slowly laid down by the pool and just let the darkness take him. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I was hoping more for a fight. Oh well. The man snapped his fingers again, and Tandro found himself looking down at a waterlogged Izuku. Oh God, Izuku! What did he do to you? Izuku, can you hear me? Izuku opened his eyes. Tandro. Izuku, what did he do to you? Tired. Izuku, please try to stay awake. Talk to me. But it was no use. Izuku fell into the darkness again. Oh, Izuku. Your friend will be just fine, I assure you. What did you do to him? Tandro demanded. Why is he so waterlogged? Did you drown him? Did I drown him? Absolutely not. I did not drown him. I put him through his test. His test was to keep his head above water for as long as he could. I just added a little challenge to it. What kind of a challenge? He had to have weights on his ankles. From there, he had to, keep his head afloat, or else he would have drowned. You disgusting monster! You demon! I faced demons that weren't even that cruel. Demon monster. Ugh! You two infuriate me. Well, I was going to snap my fingers and let him dry, but we'll let him dry on his own. Let's see if he remains well, though. What do you mean? Let's see now. Wet clothes, cold water. You're gonna let him get sick. No, you're going to let him get sick. What? This was your fault. If you hadn't said anything. Tandro, my dear Tandro, if you hadn't said anything, I would have snapped my fingers and allowed Izuku to dry and to take some of the water out of his lungs. But since you want to call me cruel, a monster and a demon, then fine, I'll show you how cruel I can be. Let's see how you do when you take care of a pneumonia-ridden Izuku. You wouldn't dare. Oh? If I was, say, a little more compassionate? At least dry him off. Sorry, but no. Ta-ta! Enjoy the night. The door slammed shut and the lights dimmed to simulate nighttime. Oh, Izuku. Tandro began to wonder what he should do. What he could do. His Haori. He was glad he was wearing it. It was becoming a sort of a security blanket for the both of them, it seemed like. Not just a security blanket, but mostly like a blanket. Tandro wrapped Izuku up in the Haori and tried to get him as dry as he could. But he didn't want his Haori to get too wet either. Izuku would need it to keep him warm. So he laid his Haori out to dry and just held Izuku as he dried. If you go down, then so do I. And maybe, if we both get a little sick, he'll leave us alone for a while. It'll be hell, but I'm willing to take the chance. Tandro, don't get sick, okay? Shh, Izuku, just rest. What about you, though? Aren't you still sore? I'm still a little sore, yeah, but... then lay down. Get some rest. Please don't worry about me. I'll be fine. Promise. Izuku shivered. But you're cold. I need to keep you as warm as possible. Wait, please. Alright, Izuku, I'll lay down. Let's just... there we go. Comfy? Uh-huh. Are you okay? Stop that. I'm going to be fine. I'm a little better off than you. Sleep. Not much else we can do. No, I suppose not. Are you hungry at least? Before we sleep, we could eat the food he left. You go ahead if you want. Not hungry. Too tired. Get some rest then. We'll eat later. Okay. Tanjiro. Yeah? Sorry. Sorry for what? I tried to keep my head above the water as long as I could. I didn't mean to dip down so many times. Oh, Izuku. If that were me, I probably would have slipped down a few times too. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Like you said, you did your absolute best. And your best is good enough. Okay. You did your best too with the gauntlet. Yeah, I guess I did. Alright, no more talking. Just get some sleep. Okay. You too. And with that, Izuku drifted off. Tandro wanted to stay awake a little longer, but he too felt the exhaustion now that he was laying down. He kept Izuku close to him, just so that they could share body heat. Izuku was still very, very cold. That and he wanted to keep an eye on Izuku's breathing. And with his sense of smell, Tandro would know immediately if Izuku's heart rate or anything would change. Soon, Tandro gave into the darkness as well. And the two boys slept as peacefully as they could. Things were about to get downright hellish from here out, Tandro felt. He also felt that he was right. He had faced demons that were not that cruel. At least, not yet. He hadn't faced Muzan yet. Muzan was this cruel. Or would be this cruel. But he wasn't facing Muzan. No. He was facing something a little less than that, but a little more worse. Oh man. These poor boys, I'm about to throw them into the ringer. Whew. Like I told you guys, it's gonna be like the Fox and the Hound in here. It's gonna go from bad to worse in a heartbeat. I mean, we're already seeing it. Also, sorry for all this throat clearing that I've been doing. Usually I have my water bottle with me, but I keep forgetting it. Like I should just leave it in here. No, I'm kidding. I think I forgot my water bottle in the fridge at work, but usually I have like a drink next to me, and if I feel like I need a drink, I will move my phone away and then take a quick drink and just keep going. But I left my water bottle. My throat's been really dry. It's been cold and dry outside. It's been dry in the office. My throat, it doesn't hurt. It's just, Alright, guys. Anyways, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.